I also went to the extent of even checking out Airbnb accommodation up in that part of the world, and about the cheapest option is about $1,500 for a month if I had to be there that long. So that gives you just a rough guide of the costs. It's pretty expensive. It's Australia, you expect that, but at least I've got an idea what I'm dealing with. I'd be prepared to buy an apartment only if it was very private and in a great location in a small block. I would be prepared to do that, but I won't be able to even move on that until after Christmas. The way things are going, it's just going to shut down. So I'd really prefer to have a unit that's self-contained and like a house, because I am so sick of noise. But then again, I'm in a situation which is rather unusual. Right next to a creche, there's businesses next to this place too. It's probably why it was so cheap when I bought it, and the body corporate's been low, so it's been good in that respect. But I think it's time to move on. I'm not happy there. I really do need a change of scene, a total change of scene, and I just don't want to be in this part of town for much longer. I'm over it, way over it. I went here for the convenience, but the hassles of over are greater now than the conveniences, so I made a value judgment. I'm definitely on the move. Other thing I want to mention is the lady I talked to at the CBA. She tried really hard to get me that loan. She was actually very nice, and she really appreciated talking to me. She was very chatty, and sort of thanked me for the way I conducted myself. So that was really nice. So it was a 2-hour call, so we had plenty of time to get to know one another, and I've got to say that she was very good, but she was constrained by the corporate parameters that were given on the loan. It was just basically a program. She was, it's like YouTube and algorithms. Everything's sort of computerized, and basically there's no human element anymore. You've got a human voice, but the actual most important decisions are made by the computer, and there's no flexibility around that. That's basically it. Computer is God. So I think CommBank made a mistake here. I'm a very conservative person. I would never default on a loan, and I think that they're not taking any account of my full income, which they knew about, because a lot of it's from CommSec, their own branch, which this woman had no access to, and they weren't interested in knowing what about my shares or the dividends, even though they had all that information at their fingertips. Insane. They didn't care the fact that I actually owned my apartment in Parramatta Park outright, had no mortgage on it, low cost of living. None of this stuff seemed to matter to them. Just absolutely astounding. I think it's one of those reasons why people get jacked with banks at times. I'm a CBA shareholder, by the way, and I expect the dividends to probably come back to their normal level, which will be a very good earner for me because I bought them at the right price. But as far as the way they certainly don't favour you as a CBA customer. You get nothing for it. You get no recognition whatsoever. So I think they need to look at their corporate culture in that respect. But I don't like corporate culture in general. I think it disadvantages small business, strangling small business, and we've seen so much of this take place because of COVID. Governments have decided to basically come down hard on small businesses at the expense of corporates who can handle it, because the corporates are the big donors. It's a totally corrupted system. Politically, the corporates have all the power. We as individuals are going to be squeezed out of the equation. Personally, I would like to see corporate power reduced. I think it's a very dangerous anti-democratic situation, and long term we may look back on the previous years when we had some level of democracy as the golden era, because we may be in for prolonged autocracy, or a corpocracy, maybe we should call it. And one thing I forgot to mention too is I had this really strange conversation just after I got back from the inspection on Wednesday. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just something I didn't expect, totally from left field, which I suppose can be a good thing in life. But I was just about a block from my home, just around where what the trade joint is, just near me. So it was really close to home. And this girl sort of said something to me, and I started to chat to her, and she said something about me filming, because she obviously knew that I'd been doing these blogs, and I found that quite extraordinary. She actually knew who I was, she knew about my blogs, and she warned me that I might be being stalked. And I thought, really? Me? Why would anybody bother stalking me? But she felt as if there was some danger in that occurring. I mean, she was very nice. We shook hands and had a short conversation. I talked to her about SpaceX. I don't think she had any idea what I was talking about with SpaceX. She was sort of more referring to my standard blogs, like about living in cans. So I'm a bit of an obsessive when it comes to the SpaceX and the technology with Elon Musk. Most people probably don't get it. And it was a situation where I was exhausted, actually. Just come back from that inspection. I was sweating like a pig. I'd had to walk back from the Lake Street main bus terminal, and I was pretty wasted when she came up to me. Seems to happen a lot. It's the worst time to talk to me is when I'm back from one of those walks, because I'm utterly exhausted generally. But yeah, an interesting situation. Oop, off to Lily Creek again. It's Monday, the Monday before Christmas, and it's warm, very warm. It's only about 9 AM, but it's already probably about 28, 29 degrees for a top of 32 today. So it feels damn hot to me. And I'm going to pace myself, take it nice and slowly, because yeah, it's quite a bit of steam in the sun. No surprise there. Yeah. I just got a call from a real estate agent I'm going to use to sell my place. He came up with a very reasonable charge for advertising stuff. The actual percentage the agents take up here is 2.5% from the sale price, and I had to add to that around $880 for photos, advertising, all the usual stuff you have to do, which sounded incredibly reasonable to me. And he said, yeah, a lot of people charge about $1,800 for the same thing. So I knew it was a good price. So the guy just recently sold a unit in the same block. I want to get this thing moving quickly, even if it means I have to stay up in the beaches in an Airbnb rather than my own place for a month and have to worry about storage and all the usual crap involved. I'd rather do it that way. I'm definitely over living in the centre of the city. In a way, to get to where I'm going is actually easier from the beaches, because the bus will go directly to where I'm going. Whereas here, I have to change buses in the city, and it will probably cost more to do. This is how crazy the system is here, because I'd have to change zones and moving across from different routes, I think it'd actually cost me more to go a short distance here than the whole distance right up to the northern beaches, which is a fair way. I mean, like I said, I think it's a crazy system of the fares. That's one thing Melbourne's got right. They had a time-based system, so it didn't matter what the geography was. You just bought time on the system as opposed to distance. But this thing with all these ridiculous zones here is so complicated. It's a system we scrapped, I think, in Victoria years ago, but they've still got it here with Sunbus, unfortunately. So, not impressed. Oh, thanks. God, they let me go. You never know with cars. There's a bit of glass on the ground here too. Yeah, drivers are generally pretty polite here, though. Unfortunately, I can't see inside their cars to see whether they're sort of smiling or whatever, and to acknowledge them, because I've got such crappy eyesight. So it's a bit of a worry. But anyway, my biggest worry actually isn't something like that. It's about what's going to happen with if Joe Biden, who probably will become president, what's going to happen with international relations, especially. I mean, it's going to be bad enough for people in the US. It's going to be terrible for them, because he'll probably turn back all the good work that Trump has done with putting China in its place, because they don't call him Beijing Biden for no reason. He's done deals with everybody. I think he's one of the most corrupt politicians on earth, and his son is probably more corrupt than him, but that's not saying much. Oh, and his missus is unbelievable as well. She reminds me of you remember the Romanian dictator called Ceausescu years ago? Remember him? He met his demise on a balcony. He was waving to the masses, who he usually controlled. But at this stage, they started booing at him and hissing at him and basically giving him maff, and he basically retreated. And within a day, I think he and his wife had been executed. Now, why I mention him is because Jill Biden, who is Joe Biden's wife, is insisting on being referred to as a doctor. Not that she has any medical qualifications whatsoever, some academic qualification, but she's such a wanker. She wants to be called doctor. And why I mentioned Ceausescu is because his wife was a peasant woman who had no background, but she was given some science degree, and it was just a joke. But she kept insisting to be referred to as, you know, some professor or some bullshit term. But it sounds like Jill Biden's the same, it's cut from the same cloth. But I don't have any time for Democrats. The Democrats are the party of the elites, the woke elites, and I can't stand them. They're backed by billionaires, big tech, academia, and the media. And it's just a convergence of evil, I would call it. I mean, it's people like two of the richest guys in the world, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, have both done really well out of the lockdowns. Done really well. Their profits for their companies has gone up, as the poor old small business people have been screwed. And of course, in the case of Gates, he's even greedier. He's trying to make money on the vaccine as well, and then trying to make out he's a great humanitarian. Yeah. Yeah, Bill, I believe that, yeah. It's all virtue seeking. Just the woke elites in America, brown-nosed virtue signalling people. Well, the ones under them are the big guys that just are pulling the strings of the Bezoses and the Gates. And of course, they have incredible political influence. They basically run the show, because they bankroll all these Democrat governments who are basically failing, and they're basically paid off the media's on their side. Presumably they've had kickbacks. It's just so corrupt, it's not funny. It's disgusting. A lot of noise here. There's got some guys working there on the... Yeah, I guess... Yeah, there's actually people working next door to me as well. They're doing a refit of a either retail outlet or an office. And they're actually here on a Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m. I thought, geez, before Christmas you'd think you'd be toning it down a bit. But no, they were there. Basically, they're coming to the place 7 days a week. They better not try bloody working on Christmas. I'll scream bloody murder. Wouldn't put anything past anybody up here though. I've had Easter, I had that, so that was pretty bad. Anyway, I digress. The situation in America is pretty dire, and I do believe I can understand why the Sidney Powells of this world and Michael Flynn, who was a national security advisor formerly, why they are actually trying to convince Trump to declare martial law. I'm actually behind this because I think what the point of martial law is to bring the military in to conduct a proper election. Because Biden's not going to be regarded as legitimate by the electorate. He's going to have a really rough time because there's so many people in America who just don't believe he won that election fairly. They desperately need legitimacy in America at the moment, the politicians. The whole system's stuffed, in my opinion. I think they've got to have a total reform of the universities, weed out all the Marxists. Certainly if they're getting paid government money. If it's a private institution, I guess my libertarian side would say that's fine. I don't have a problem with people with alternate views, but I do have a problem when the government's actually bolstering them. And that's happening a lot in the West. It's been happening for decades. And now we've got a whole lot of brainwashed people who have gone through the system, who are now working for government. And the whole thing's damn corrupt and stinks to high heaven. So we need major reform. So as drastic as martial law may sound, I think we've got to a stage where it'll have to happen, but it won't, because Trump will never do it. I cannot believe Trump will ever allow that to occur. I don't know why. He's actually quite conservative on a few issues, and I think that's one of them. He's been way too passive when it comes to big tech. He hasn't been on the ball with that. He's done a lot of very good things. His international negotiating skills are brilliant. It's going to be back to the old normal with Biden, with everybody, with basically America guilt-ridden, will blame themselves for everything that's bad in the world, and will grant other countries concessions they really don't deserve. They're going to get screwed, basically. Manufacturing will, of course, go back to China. More so, well, it's already mainly there anyway, but it won't be coming back to America. That's a long-term project to get that happening. I think Japan's doing a much better job in that area. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm fairly pessimistic actually about the whole thing. It's going to be a pretty rough 4 years. Or 2 years of it will be the interesting ones, because if Biden performs as badly as I think he will, the Democrats will get massacred in the 2022 elections, assuming they aren't rigged. Big assumption. Oh, someone riding down the path. Smart move. I'm actually going to take the bus back to the city today. It's just so damn hot that I'm getting heat rashes and things. I'm only walking this morning because it is early morning, so not quite as warm, but when I leave the place I'm going to, it'll be in an hour and a half's time, maybe 2 hours, and it's going to be a pretty damn hot. So even though I'll have to pay a fare that's, well, it's not that high, but it's annoying. I can't get a fare right through to where I want to go. I'll have to buy 2 fares today. I'll get a daily from the city right up until where the Dan Murphy is, because I want to get some Christmas grog as well. Get a few things sorted today. Whew, hot. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great.